Stoops.
Okay, I'll get started. Thanks. Sorry, I'm a touch late here this morning. Few things going on, but just to recap Saturday's victory. As I said after the game, I thought it was a very good team effort. Really proud of the way the defense responded. Really worked hard a week ago to try to get some things corrected from not playing well against Mississippi. You could tell just by what's going on in the league and the scoring that's happening, the yards and the points. These teams are difficult to defend. So, much like I talked about last Monday, we did a lot of good things in the Ole Miss game. In particular, we played really good offensively. Didn't feel like we played as good defensively. And that just went off, Tony. I don't know if they could hear me or not, but it's off. It's back. But, just challenged the defense. I really felt like they responded well, came out and played a really good game. Offensively, we got to get some things corrected. Did not play well. We know that and know there's some things that we can get fixed, some things that are easy fixes, some things are difficult. But we have to play as a team. We have to find a way to win. And we need the offense to respond much like the defense did last week to come out and put it all together. And that's what gives us hope as we move forward. As I mentioned, it's an unbelievably challenging schedule, and we need to put it all together to go play a great game against Tennessee. This is an important game for us and our fan base and another league and our division and so on. So you look at it and just like I believe Coach Leach said it after the game, and I said it a week ago, it's going to be a grind. You just kind of you hit the reset button each week. You look at it and you feel disappointed with letting a game slip away here or there, but it's going to be a tough grind. There's only 6 teams in our league that have a better record than us, and there's 8 teams that have the same or worse. So it's NFL parity this year in the SEC, and it's going to be a challenge each and every week. And looking forward to this opportunity with Tennessee. Very good team, a team that seems to be more physical. Each year Jeremy's there, and the way they're recruiting, the way they're coaching, they're getting better at each level. And again, they're an improved football team. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
Okay, we will throw it open for questions at this time, and start with Eli again. Go ahead, Eli.
Hey, Mark, you were touching base there on how important this game is to your fan base. How important is it for you and the coaching staff, and specifically the players? Each year, it seems like these guys get pretty fired up for this one.
Well, it's important. I mean, it's a team it's always feel like it's in your side, on your side of the league. It's an East game. It's a rival game. It's our neighbor. It's an important football game.
Okay, next is Larry Vaught.
Mark, when you were talking about your offense and saying some things are easy fixes, could you explain a little bit about what will be the easy fixes?
Well, I mean, the self-inflicted, plays that are hurting us, we could control those things. So, there's many plays that's up to us, that's up to coaches, that's up to each individual, and there's things we could get corrected. And, there's things that we have done this year exceptionally well. We've got to put it all together. And again, the defense is a great example. I mean, I was ready to pull what little hair I have out all last week, and we came back and responded against a very good team, and to hold that team to 0 points, to shut them out for the first time in Mike Leach's career. I mean, it is a compliment to our players and our staff with the way they responded.
All right, next is Eric Crawford.
Coach, we get kind of caught up in games and stats and all that's going on. I wonder if either watching film or even when it happened, when Josh Pascal snatches that ball out of the air and goes racing off, if you have thoughts of all that he's been through and just how kind of neat that moment was.
Well, it really does. He's an amazing individual, and I don't make too much of it, and I don't need y'all to dig into it, but it's just like his leadership and the way he responded at halftime. He injured his knee. He was hurt, unsure whether he could play, unsure how significant that injury is, and he's a guy that wanted to speak at halftime with me and address the team and to lead. And he's a courageous young man. He's a leader. He's passionate about the way he plays and affects other people, and he's a remarkable young man. And it is something, especially when you think about that and you think about what he's been through, and you think about what Coach Schlarman's going through. And I could tell you, without getting into details, that it's just amazing and inspirational what John is doing, and it's tough on him. Also, to go up and to see Chris yesterday and to deliver that game ball to him, and to see what Chris is going through. We don't take enough time to be grateful for what we have. Our team needs to understand that. Things can change in a moment, and we have enough situations on our team where we can just look right at those examples and realize how fortunate we are, and we need to make the most of every opportunity that we have. And to see Chris like that, it was good to see him. He is strong. He's doing good, but it's a tough, long road to recovery that he has. And Josh has been through, some tough situations, and to see him come out on the other side, he's also inspirational.
Okay, our next one is from Josh Moore.
Since you were just talking about Josh, I kind of have two questions. How is he? Do you expect to have him? And then my original question is really about the offense. The receivers had a lot of targets that were incomplete, but they only ended up with two receptions. I think both Josh. Was that their defense doing that, or when you kind of looked at the tape, what kind of were there passes that should have been caught? How would you kind of break that down?
All the above. With Josh, we expect him back. He's day to day. He'll be out there at some point this week, and so we'll be glad to have him back when he's ready. Nothing major there. And with the receivers, we didn't have a good day. It's a combination of things. Certainly Terry didn't have his best day. He missed some guys that were open. There were times that we had catches that could have been made. There were times there was very difficult catches because of the accuracy of the ball. We had the worst protection issues we've had all year. So the O-line has some things that we have to get cleaned up. So it was just overall, we got to have all 11 guys, playing at a high level to be efficient, and that didn't happen on Saturday.
John Hale.
Mark, about the wide receivers, obviously, because of what you had to do to win games last year, they weren't catching a lot of passes. Do you feel like that group developmentally is where you want them to be, or are we still seeing some of the effects of what you just had to do because of injuries last season?
Well, I think just like our team, we're constantly trying to get better, and I don't want to single out that group because there's plenty of areas on the team that we are constantly trying to develop and get better, and we need to do that.
All right, next is Aaron Gershon.
Mark, you guys have seen a lot of Jarrett Garrettano the last 3 years. He seems to be a guy who's finally putting it together outside of that second half against Georgia last week. What's impressed you most with his development?
Oh, I really respect how he's a tough guy. You know, he stands in that pocket. He takes some shots. He can deliver the football down the field. They do a nice job of creating some matchups and throwing some shot plays outside and deep. And he has the arm strength to get it there and be accurate and to drop it in. You know, give his receivers an opportunity to make plays. I think that was a big difference in the past two games with them. I mean, you could look at several plays last year. It was a heck of a football game, and you could look at 3-4 competitive plays that they made that we didn't, and that separated the win and the loss outside of the plays there at the goal line at the end. And they're doing that again this year. And even in the Georgia game, they created some one-on-one matchups that they threw it up and made some really competitive catches, and he gives them a catchable football.
Okay, next is John Wong.
Mark, Kentucky hasn't won in Knoxville since 1984, and I guess they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. What is your team doing differently to prepare for this experience this week?
We do have a different change-up. I didn't like the way we played a couple years ago driving down there in the bus, long bus ride. It's in that tweener range of whether you fly and get on a charter and all that, or drive a bus down there, and it's a long bus ride. And so we are doing some things different on Friday with our schedule and, throughout the week. So I'll leave it at that, but I've been thinking about it for some time, and we are going to have a different change up in our routine on Friday. I'd also like to point out Saturday, I didn't give these guys enough credit, but nobody ever wants to talk about the good things that you're doing. They always want to point out the negative, but I have to give a shout out to the defense, as I did, but in particular, some guys up front. I thought Quentin Bohanna, Phil Hoskins, guys that you don't see showing up on the stat sheet, just played exceptional football, played relentlessly hard. Everybody knows, he sees Jordan Wright's stats and some of the guys that made picks, and Jamin played a great game, and Boogie played a really good game. But the guys up front, Quentin Bohanna caused 2 interceptions, and that doesn't ever show up on the stat sheet. But he played exceptionally hard. He's been working hard. Phil's been working hard, and just want to give a little credit to those guys because nobody sees it, but they are working their tails off. Played relentless on Saturday and really showing good leadership and really appreciative of how hard they played up front, and gave us an opportunity to play coverage on the back end and really did a good job. And I just wanted to mention those guys. And Josh has been playing good all year, but I really thought Q and Phil took it to another level, and we're going to need that. And so many of our young guys played good as well.
Josh Moore.
Hey, Mark, I noticed Akeem Hayes is on the depth chart. Have you had a conversation with him? Where did that come from, his tweets there kind of right after the game? Was it just frustration or?
Well, I'm going to talk with Keem this afternoon.
Okay, John Hill.
Mark, back on signing day, Vince kind of alluded to a little bit of tension with Tennessee and some negative recruiting in this 2020 class. Just how has that dynamic with the rivalry maybe changed since you got here, especially since they've got a couple of assistants who used to work for you at Kentucky that now you're recruiting against?
No different than any other team. I mean, but the guys that left here that I have a great relationship with, and that great coaches, great people, great families, and still very close to and have good relationship with. So wish those guys nothing but the best individually, but obviously, the game is competitive just like every other one we play this year.
Okay, our next is from Gary Graves.
Mark, I don't know if you've had a chance to really review much from the Tennessee-Georgia game, but some of the mistakes that they made, how much of that do you think it was Georgia really forcing them into mistakes? And do you think those issues can be corrected quickly before Saturday?
Just like any of us, a little bit of both. There's not a team that plays a game that doesn't feel like there's so many things that we could control to get better. It's like that every week, win or lose. And then there's part of it where you have to give credit to the other team.
Nick Rouse?
One of Tennessee's strengths is on the offensive line. What do they do well that's going to make it a challenge for the defensive line this week?
They've really become physical. I think that's an area that they've really drastically improved since Jeremy's been there, and you can see the physicality. Getting Cade in there as a transfer eligible helps them, along with Trey and all those guys. They're a big group and they're physical, and just like all of us in this league, once again, we understand of course you got to have playmakers, but you also got to be very physical, and they definitely are that.
Okay, our next is John Clay.
Mark, you kind of answered my question with your praise for the defensive line, but I was just wondering, when you looked at the film, was there a common thread to the 6 interceptions on Saturday?
A variety of things. I think there was you saw great individual effort like you did in Boogie's. That was a true takeaway, a competitive play that Jamar made and created and took away. There were some that were caused by the D line that, Quentin, hustling and playing hard and creating pressure. Q had a direct correlation between the 2 interceptions, which was a credit to him and the guys on the back end. And some was good, coverage and confusion and a little bit of everything. And certainly some down the stretch that were probably, a little bit of gifts because they were in desperation mode and forcing some plays.
Derek Terry?
Yeah, Mark, staying on the defensive line, it seemed like Isaiah Gibson, when he got in there, seemed like he made the most of his opportunities. Just have you kind of seen him come along, and how comfortable do you feel giving him more snaps in the event that maybe Josh wouldn't be 100%?
Yeah, we got to continue to bring him along. I really feel like Isaiah, he has the length and he has the athleticism to be a really good player, and he's got to continue to work hard to play with that great intensity on every play, every snap. And I think Anwar has done a really good job with our defensive line. I love the energy that Anwar brings every day, and is really getting those guys to play hard and obviously fundamentally, at that position, you've heard me talk about it for years and years. I mean, it's a fundamental game. Closer to the ball you are, you got to be very, very precise fundamentally and play the game right. Anwar is obviously doing that, but also the energy that he brings, and I think you're starting to see that, and the guys play really hard. And Isaiah's a great example of that. He's got to continue to really just take the moves and take the coaching and continue to get better every day.
Jeff Drummond?
Hey, Mark, we saw some flashes from the tight ends on Saturday. Do you see those guys kind of coming on a little bit for you?
Definitely. I was disappointed in the drop that Justin had. That was a big play in the game. We had good momentum, and those are plays that kind of get the quarterback going as well. We had it set up, and should have been an explosive play there, and that play was disappointing. We felt like Keaton's play was going to be there. Terry had an option at either tight end on that play, but hit Keaton in the seam, and that was good to see. And of course, Brendan, Bates, we've been impressed with him, the way he's been playing all camp. Unfortunately, he's going to be out for a few weeks with an injury, but he's really played well. And the same with Justin. We got to get him playing fast and with a great sense of urgency. And, there's some options there. We just got to, put it all together and put it on them.
Josh Moore?
Mark, I know the DBs only came up with, I think it was one of those 6 interceptions, but what were those guys doing Saturday that made life harder for Mississippi State? And are we maybe underestimating a little bit what they were doing the first 2 weeks, or is that kind of all just kind of everything kind of coming together at the right time?
Well, no, I think, there was enough criticism to go around the first couple weeks that was warranted. We didn't play our best. There's no excuses. I think, what you do as a coaching staff, as a team, is you really got to look at that and get better each and every week. Believe me, there's enough mistakes to go around, all of us, across the country. It's a matter of being able to overcome that, overcome, mistakes that are going to happen. Nobody's going to play perfect, but you also got to improve on it each and every week. I'm grateful that those guys took it personal as a defense and collectively went out there and had a great week of practice and took it to the field. And again, we've done that offensively at times as well, but that's what gives me great excitement when we put it all together. And what better opportunity than this week? That's the challenge, to put it all together and look what we can be. If all sides play that way. It was great. I thought special teams played exceptionally well again. Max was phenomenal. He bailed us out and did his job remarkably well and across the board. So we just got to continue to improve. But defensively, I think, they have done some really good things at times. As we said in the Ole Miss game, and I said it, I don't know if y'all saw, but I mean, they played pretty good again this past Saturday against a pretty good team. That they're no joke, and what they do puts some pressure on you. And, but we had an opportunity to win the game, and that's on us. And that's what we're trying to build on and build on the positive things, and the mistakes gets fixed. Sometimes it's scheme, sometimes it's, poor, discipline of eyes or technique. And sometimes it has to do with the opponent and what they're doing to you and the stress that they put on you and the matchups that they put on you with some explosive players. You have to be able to hold up to that. So it's going to be a different challenge each and every week.
Great, John Hale.
Mark, obviously Mississippi State has one of the best run defenses in the country, at least on paper. How much of what happened Saturday was them slowing your run game, or would you have liked to maybe try a little harder to establish that, especially early in the game?
Oh, I think we tried pretty hard to establish a run game. I think you have to give them credit in where they played it really well at times and beat us at times. And they're again, just like anything, there are times when we need to block it better. Our guys have good experience, but credit them. They do some different things and twist and put a little bit of doubt in your mind. Where there are certain plays where we wish we would have done it differently, as far as the adjustments that we make and how we block things. And there were times when they beat us. There were times when we made some mistakes. So you put it all together and wasn't very efficient. And then it gets aggravating, because then you get efficient, you get ahead of the chains, you have an opportunity to maybe separate and we turn the ball over again. That can't happen. We can't fumble the football away when you have an opportunity to start pulling away.
Mark Story.
Mark, two things. After you looked at the film, did anybody on the offensive line play well? And secondly, did you get a chance to congratulate your nephew for the big catch against Texas?
Yeah, the offensive line will be fine. Those guys are experienced. They're veteran. They take pride in their work, and we'll get some things corrected. So we'll be good. Not one of our best performances, but they'll respond the right way. And I did talk to Drake after his game, prior to our game, and was very excited for Drake and for Bob and Carol. And there's a guy that, grew up in Norman and grew up with that Sooner DNA in his blood from day one. And for him to make that game-winning catch against Texas in that game, very happy for him. He's worked exceptionally hard. He's a competitive kid and really good player, so really happy for him.
Okay, our last two questions are going to be Larry Gaunt.
Mark, you mentioned Max again about what a good game he had. The SEC's honored him. Yet I know a mutual friend of ours, Max, told him after the game that he thought he was average at best. He wasn't very happy with his performance. Is that just typical Max? Is he never happy, or is he just mad because they had that one return?
Oh, I just think, that's him. He wants to be the best in the country. He has that competitive spirit. And, he's being authentic there. He's being real, and that's who he is, but that's what makes him great.
And our last question will be from John Clay. Go ahead, John.
Mark, you mentioned it there at the front. The story of the league so far seems to be all the offense and the points being scored. Is there any particular reason for it, or is it just one of those things this year?
I'm not sure. I think it's one of those things. I mean, the minute you say anything, there's no built-in excuses. It is what it is, for all of us. I know it's, as a team, for us, we're getting better with every opportunity, with every practice, with every game. And, it is what it is. If I say it's because of, practice or opportunity or games or spring, you're just making an excuse. But it does seem to be like all of us are having the issues at times. That's for sure. And, I think, we improved a great deal between the opener and the third game, and we got to continue to do that. And we really have to do that across the board. But as I mentioned, you're not alone. This is going to be a grind, and you just got to hit the reset button each week, and you got to take it each week as just just try to go 1-0 that week, and win or lose, just put that game behind us, learn from the mistakes, and move on.
All right, Coach Stoops, thank you very much for your time today.
Okay.
We're concluded for today's news conference.
Thank you.
And we will be